Hi, welcome back. We've already done our cabbage and that's ready behind us, and as I told you, this is going to be the cabbage, old school cornbread, and Cornish hen. So we're going to start on the cornbread now. What I've done is, a lot of people prefer to use Jiffy, or they may want to use Monster White. We're not going to do that today. We're going to take 2½ cups of cornmeal mix. Now, the reason why we're using cornmeal mix, and it is self-rising, is because the cornmeal mix comes with everything that we need inside. We got a little bit of flour, we got all of the baking powder that we need, and of course we have the cornmeal. We're going to add that to our bowl. Oops, that came out. Don't worry about that. To that, because I want this cornbread not to be grainy, but I want it to be more of a soft texture, we are going to add a little bit more flour. So this is 2 tablespoons of flour. I don't like for my cornbread to be too salty. So to the cornmeal mixture, we're going to add 2 tablespoons of sugar. That's our dry ingredients. And we're going to stir that. Okay. Now, to our dry ingredients, we're going to add 1 cup of whole milk, or any kind of milk you want to add. And make certain that it's milk. And what happens there is that gives it that soft texture that you're looking for, instead of just using water alone. Now, as you can see, this kind of looks like a biscuit mixture. So at that point, what we're going to do, we're going to add 1/2 cup of water. Okay. Now, the consistency that you want it kind of like a soupy consistency. That's what you want for your cornbread. That really makes good cornbread. So, if you can look at it, it's not quite soupy yet. So we're going to add to that, which causes our cornbread to stick together, 2 beaten eggs. Okay. And you can just, beat them slightly. You don't have to just stand beating them, just a little bit. Now, when you mix that in, because that's a liquid item, you're getting a little bit more of the soupy type mixture that we're looking for. See? Now, there's a lot of variations to cornbread, and you can just make this plain, or you can step outside of the box and you can put corn in your cornbread, so then it'll be corny cornbread. Sometimes people put onions in their cornbread. They want Mexican cornbread, they'll use the corn, the onions, and different types of peppers, maybe green pepper or red pepper. But today, because we're going to have this with the Cornish hens, I don't want that the corny type cornbread, or the oniony type. Now we're going to go over to the stove and we're going to do this a little bit further. Now when we get to the stove, I use, this is just old chicken grease, but sometimes that's an old school trick. But a lot of times people may want to use a different type of oil, and you can. This is about 3 or 4 tablespoons of oil. To that, I'm going to add 1 tablespoon of butter. Now it's already heating, and it's heating on low. I'm going to add that to my cornmeal mixture. You don't need to flour your pan. You don't need to do anything else because your pan is already greased. Okay. I'm going to beat that a little bit more until I can beat up all of the oil that I just put in the cornbread. Okay, that's done. And see how soupy it is? I'm going to pour it in my pan. And I'm going to bake this off in a 375-degree oven for about 35 to 40 minutes. Now, let's get started on those Cornish hens I was telling you about. Ready to do the Cornish hens. Here, I have 2 Cornish hens, and they're already washed and ready for me to work up. I want to show you something with these Cornish hens. If I was not going to serve the hens, the Cornish hens in, I'm sorry about that. If I was not going to cut the Cornish hens, there would be a better way to do it. Now this one I've already dressed for the sake of time, and when it comes to you, it normally comes to you like that. All you have to do is fold your 2 legs in back, your 2 wings in back, take your 2 legs, put them up together, and then tie it off. But today I don't need to do that because I'm going to cook these in half. So I'm going to leave them just like they are. Now this one I've already done, and it's ready really to go into the oven. I've only left off one ingredient, and I'm going to put that one on last. Now, be careful when you're dealing with poultry, because we know that salmonella is very easily shared when you're working with poultry. So we want to make certain that we keep our hands clean at all times. The ingredients that I'm going to be using today, I have a compote butter, and that's I mix some butter with some herbs my favorite type, which would be, in here we have roasted onion, we have some bell pepper, we have some cracked black pepper, of course, and we have a little bit of garlic powder, but it's not that much garlic powder. Now I'm going to show you how you should dress this Cornish hen. First of all, you want it to be attractive if you're going to be cutting it in half, to serve it. So the one thing you want to do is to cook this off. Now you can save it, or you can throw it out. If you're going to save it, this is very good when it comes to making chicken stock. So you can just put it to the side, or you can just disregard that. Now, inside of this Cornish hen, and this one in my haste I ripped it, but you don't want to do that. You want to be able to separate the skin all the way down on both sides and in the leg, both legs. You want to separate the skin. Now the reason for separating the skin is because you want to pack it. Okay? Now if you do tear, like I tore right there, just slide it back up. What does this do? This makes your meat real tender. And all of the herbs that you have, they would have cooked all through the meat. And don't be scared to push it up. Now here we have a little bit of it that's coming out, but don't worry about it. Okay? We have it packed in. And we took a little bit, we packed it inside as well. And we're going to do them both, because I didn't pack any in this one. Now, before I put my seasonings, the rest of the seasonings that I'm going to put on the Cornish hen, really you can cook Cornish hen with just salt and pepper, and that will really make a good dish. I'm going to step back and pick up my olive oil. You want to coat this on both sides. Okay? Make certain that you coat them up and you coat them down. That's what I didn't do to this one, that I told you I would come back and do, because I was going to coat all at the same time. Okay? And what that oil does, it acts as a pre-baster, so it continues to baste off on that. Now we have some ingredients that I'm going to use, but again, you can just use salt and pepper. You don't have to branch off, but if you want a little more flavor and you want to step out there with your skills, then go ahead and do so. Here we have, this is Morton seasoning salt today. This is our kosher salt, black pepper. We have a little bit of powdered garlic, and here we have the herbs that I've taken and I put inside of here, which would be the green pepper, onion, and roasted onion and stuff like that. We're going to use that on the outside of it as well. Now we've already added the olive oil, which is going to give us something for the spices to adhere to, and we're going to do the backs of both first. So here it's not a lot of garlic powder, and I'm not using fresh garlic because it's too pungent at this point. There's a little bit. Whoa. Then we have some seasoning salt on the back. We have some kosher salt on the back. Doesn't matter what order. To that, we have our roasted herbs on the back. Now, we're going to flip this. Okay. Put his legs back. And I'm saying him. Could have been a her. Put it back. Take this one. Put her legs back. How about that? Okay. Now, we have just a little bit. Put that over there. Okay. Now, we're going to wash off our hands and then do the front side. And I could have kept on going because the only thing that I'm touching is just the poultry itself. Okay, look at that. Putting down the roasted herbs, Putting down some seasoning salt. Now, I'm going to take the rest of the seasoning salt and place it in the cavity. Okay. Put that down. Wash again. Okay. We're going to put our salt on this side. There it goes. And to that, we're going to add cracked black pepper. There we go. Now, I've drizzled the oil inside and out. I have my spices that I made, my compote, butter compote that I made. Then I put my seasonings on the inside and on the out. And again, I did not tie this because I'm going to be cutting this and I'm going to serve it in half. So now I'm going to get what I'm going to bake it off on, and that'll be a cookie sheet with a rack. Now, the reason we use a rack is because we don't want the juices from the Cornish hens. We don't want the Cornish hen to sit in that. So we can use a baster and we can come back and baste it if we want to, but we really don't have to, because here's another little trick. Turn your poultry when you're baking off down. Now, there's a reason for that. The first 15 minutes is going to cook down. What it does is all of your juices now are running down into the breast portion of the meat. So when we turn it back up after the first 15 minutes, we don't need to baste, because what's in the breast is going to roll back to the back. So we'll have it already basted. Now, that that's done, we're going to place this in a 350-degree oven, and we're going to allow it to cook for 50 minutes to maybe 1 hour. Let's see how that works out.